All right, guys. Well, we've got our second official guest of 2023?
And it's technically our second and third because this episode, we've got a duo. Woo. We've got a dynamic duo, and that duo, how many times can I say duo?
Yeah, how many times, mate?
is my ex-reality TV husband, Jack Millar, and the lovely Courtney Stubbs. Is that how I say your last name? I didn't fuck the last name up, thank God.
Real effort.
To be fair, Incredible. I don't even say your last name. I just can't.
It's no one can even say my first name, so I don't take any offense to that. But welcome, guys. Thank you so much for sitting with us and joining.
Yay. Thank you for having us.
Long time listener, first time. What do you call it? Join us, sitter.
Yeah,
and I'm humbled to be here. We're all just catching up. This is beautiful.
It's honestly,
I miss you. Hearing you just say like I'm humbled to be here. I'm like, fuck, I haven't seen you in so long.
I know. Since the last, I haven't seen you in probably about 4 or 5 months now.
Yeah, I don't even remember.
When I went to Melbourne. No, wait, did I see you then?
No, I don't think we saw.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. I think I was in Sydney.
You're in Sydney.
I was in Sydney.
Oh, with Court. Yeah. In Bondi.
It's a great little reunion. It feels like we're in our little shithole apartment back in maths.
No offense to production.
having a catch up. We love you, Endemol.
No relation to Sky Sweets.
Hashtag sponsored by Sky Sweets. Can you imagine, honestly?
So, I don't think I could go back there for a night stay. I couldn't.
I drive past when I'm...
I would love to.
Ella wants to.
No, you're not.
Do you know what, though? I feel as though we should just hire out a room one night and just stay and maybe record a podcast there. Maybe 100%. Do a seance. Should we do like a Ouija board, maybe?
And you can like sage the whole apartment.
Except we can't stay in your old apartment now, Jack and Dom, because that's where Bronte and Harrison have been.
Yeah, we've heard. Well, Dom was telling me before it's a place of sin now.
Yeah, it's cursed.
It's cursed now, and I'm really sad about it because we had such great memories. Like not only Jack and I, the cooking and when we would have
the amaretti.
Yeah, but like
when your hermit crabs.
Oh fuck, I forgot about
R.I.P. the hermit crabs.
Oh my, you killed them, didn't you?
I didn't kill them. They fucking didn't live. They couldn't live. I didn't have aircon in my apartment, and I feel like they needed like a very.
I get a call from Dom about a month after we finished filming. I don't think I've told you this, Court. And she's bawling her eyes out because one of the hermit crabs has died. Literally 4 or 5, we had 2. Literally 4 or 5 days later, I get another call. Dom bawling her eyes out once again. She's killed the second one. Cartier
Dude, they smell so bad too when they die. The smell.
Cartier
I totally
and
forgot that you even had them, babe. I totally forgot that you even had them and that they died. I don't think I knew that they died.
No, I was looking at like memories in my phone and that came up and it is so devastating. Like I actually have a photo of it dead on my phone.
Second window emotions.
I know.
Delete that photo. You do not need that.
No, I'm going to delete it. Like Millie actually loved playing with them. Maybe that was what.
And you wonder how they died.
They like had a heart attack.
They like killed them.
No, she didn't kill them, but I think they just didn't. You know what? Hermit crabs aren't meant to be pets, all right? They want to be in the fucking ocean.
They're not. They're definitely not meant to be pets.
No.
Yeah. And I felt bad. I should have just released them down at Malabar or something. But, look, look, it's just.
What's the lesson everyone's taking from this?
The lesson is don't have hermit crabs as pets.
Hermit crabs.
All right?
No one wants crabs.
And also, maths, don't give people pets anymore. Like I know Ollie and Tani this season have fish. They've got about 10 fish.
Yeah.
I don't know why we didn't get a fish.
Well,
we got dogs. We got pet dogs for like 3 hours.
Wait, what?
Yeah, we got little Pomeranians. They were so cute.
Yeah, but it was only 3 hours.
Only 3 hours and they took them from us. It was so sad.
Is that like puppy therapy?
No. So on Love Island, they do you get like a fake baby, but for some reason they wanted to give us real responsibility and they gave us dogs. And I was just like the chill parent. I was just like, whatever.
And dogs would be so easy too. Like imagine if they gave you real children.
They're puppies. Puppies.
That's so nice.
Shitting, peeing everywhere. Honestly. One of them fell in the pool. Not my dog. This was Taku's dog. He just fell in the pool and Taku's like, oh my God. He jumps in the pool. They were wild.
No, not a puppy. So for people that don't know, Courtney, you were on Love Island what season, Dal?
Season 3.
Season 3.
Yeah.
Okay. So I
was just about to say that. We're excited to get into some Love Island chat.
I know. Do you know what? I reckon let's just jump straight into this Love Island chat because there is some fucking real
it's happening
bullshit going on. And look, Ella and I were actually really big fans of the UK Love Island last season. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Is that Ekin-Su?
With Ekin-Su, yeah.
Ekin-Su, Eki.
And Davide.
Yes.
And Davide.
Jack loved Davide. He didn't watch barely any of it, but he was like, I like that guy.
And they stomped grapes. They did do that.
They did do that.
Oh, they did. And look, they're still together, so, you know,
are they?
happy days.
I think, are they? But who knows?
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Look, then came this season and I was just like completely turned off because a few episodes in, we get these two Aussies. One of them is Jessie, who I've met her a few times. She seems lovely.
Yeah.
Then we get this other bloke, Mr. Aaron. Mr. Aaron, well, that's probably sees his barber maybe every second day, it looks like.
And so I actually like recently after all this stuff had happened with you, Courtney and Aaron, I actually was driving down High Street the other day and I just see this guy walking. I'm like, fuck, that guy looks so familiar. Who is that? And then I was like, that's that dude.
Yeah.
That's that guy.
He lives in Melbourne. Yeah.
Yeah. He looks so different in real life.
Knows how to take a photo.
So different.
I mean, the photos are more curated than like any other female influencer I've seen, to be honest.
I'm going to confirm. Like, he does not look like that in real life.
Oh, wow.
Like, compared to his Instagram pictures, I was like, hang on.
And look.
Whoa. Anyway.
Go for it, mate. If you want to do your like your skin softening and all that, like love a bit of that, but whatever.
Look, I also don't know the full ins and outs of what really went down, Courtney, because you know, Dom and I, we knew that we were going to get you guys on. She kind of updated me a little bit, but I don't know the full story, so I am intrigued. I know the basics of what really went on in Love Island, and I know that, you know, our listeners as well have tuned into what's been happening with you and that whole story. So
we received a lot of feedback, I guess, after Aaron made his appearance on Love Island UK, and people were really in an uproar about this because it was like, hang on, we know how this guy treated Courtney. Why is he now being given this platform on the UK version of Love Island? And I guess it's very much a current issue about men in particular getting these platforms. I mean, the current season of MAFS, the men are very polarizing, but almost in a very negative way. Yeah. You know, kind of the dregs of society, the men that are leaving a lot of women, you know, with a lot of trauma. Yeah. And seeing this man get an opportunity like Love Island UK, knowing how, you know, your experience went, a lot of our listeners were like, hang on, this is completely fucked. And then seeing what he said in his promo and when he went into the villa was really disgraceful. So just fill us in, like, obviously we know it made you feel like absolute shit. Yeah. And rightly so. I mean, having a man that's traumatized you in the way that he did, you know, when you were already going through whatever stuff you were dealing with, and then having to see this on a global scale, like, how did that make you feel?
It was just really disappointing.
Can I just ask firstly, so did he say things about you, Courtney, on his Love Island intro?
Yeah, so in his promo video, he said, so from what I'm aware of, he got asked about everyone he was with on the show. So we were together for like a day and a half, basically. Not even 24 hours. And then because he was so uninteresting, they've basically made it out to be like he's a bed hopper. So they had to use me to make him more interesting because after he was with me, he was like only going for one other girl. So they did it to be like spicy. He goes for all these girls, rah. And then he just said, the first girl I was with was my least favorite. And I don't have a problem with being mean to people or something like that. And it wasn't just the comment, it was the fact that I was then edited all throughout his promo video to make it seem like I was his whole story there. Yes. And that was really hard for me as well because it's like, what? I don't even want to see you in the first place. I don't even want to be associated with you. I've tried everything in me to not talk about you, to not be associated with you and anywhere near you. And then from just saying something like that, I've now been edited into the world's biggest reality show in the world to be seemed like a shit person.
And for him to even admit that he doesn't care about being mean. He's like,
I'm not afraid to be mean. It's like, wow, you're such a nice person.
Like, what's with that comment, honestly, number one? And so this would have been a real shock to you. And we know that, we saw your TikTok where you, I guess gave your opinion on it and how it made you feel and that it isn't fair.
Yeah.
And, I was so proud of you. I was really like, oh my God, fucking go girl.
Yeah.
The thing that disappointed me, and I spoke to Ella about this, was that I felt like none of your other castmates were or had the balls, and I'm just going to say it, that none of them had the balls because they knew that this guy was going on Love Island UK, so it's like, oh, clout. And none of them came and said, well, hang on, no, Aaron, you actually treated Courtney like shit.
That's probably been like one of the hardest things that was like a repercussion of talking about this that I didn't expect because I already was very like iffy about even posting it. Like I called Dom and I was like, what's the repercussions of this? Should I do this? This is how I feel. This is the message I want to say. Like I don't want to put him down or anything. Like I just want it to be like, this is how I feel. This is what happened and this is not okay because that's everything I stand for.
Yeah.
And it was so hard to then experience a spiral of being like, oh, wow, no one fucking has my back. This is such a serious problem.
Yeah.
And people would rather not say anything than speak up and make a difference in this world, which is what this is about. Like this is about calling people out for not being...
For doing the wrong thing.
For doing the wrong thing, for not being a good person. Like it's unacceptable.
Calling them out for their bad behaviour.
Literally.
But it's also, and like in your case, it's just like another added layer to what you're already going through.
Literally.
With Aaron. And then having your friends who you would consider your friends and you would expect.
That I would also support them.
Yeah, exactly. Like
I'd die for my friends. Like I'm
you would have been
solid
there.
friend. Yeah.
You would have been there for them if it was them and you would have expected the same in return. And it's just like a double hit in the face. That, like, there's this shit guy on Love Island saying all this stuff and then all your friends aren't supporting you or defending you or even just saying a little bit of something, it doesn't have to be. Sometimes we only need a little bit, not everything.
Like I'm just going to say it. And I was really disappointed in Tina because I think she's got a lot to say about a lot of things all the time. And I really thought that she would have stepped up and actually supported you in this because, it's about being, honest, but it's also about standing up for your fellow woman. I mean, she was there with you. You're like pouring your heart out here and being like, I felt like absolute shit. And this guy's gone on a global platform now.
Yeah.
And he's saying all of this stuff and using me to further perpetuate his story that he doesn't care if he's mean.
Yeah.
He actually doesn't care.
Well, there's no repercussions, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So where does it stop? What's the point where these people are going to be held accountable for their actions, their words? It's because people aren't courageous enough, or I don't know what it is. I don't know what other word to use.
But why should this take so much courage? Like what happened to where something's wrong is wrong? Like that's what I was most upset about. I'm like, why is it any further than that? Like it doesn't need to be deeper than that. If this is wrong, this is wrong. And why is not everyone agreeing with that? It's not about, oh, I want to be part of the boys club. I'm going to support my friend. I don't want to get involved in the drama. It's like, no, this is wrong. What if this was your little sister? Or what if like, do you know what I mean? Like where's
I feel like we live so much more now in this world that we're living in, social media, TV, influencers, Instagrammers, fuck boys, fucking hoes, all the rest of it, right? We live in this world now where people care so much about their image. They don't want to risk anything. Yeah. They don't want to risk if it means sticking up for what is genuinely right.
Yeah. And it's so silly as well because if you actually think about it from a PR perspective, like let's just take out my emotions in general. You speaking up about this type of issue actually is going to make your image a lot better. Like if you're actually thinking about it on that side.
Well,
do you know what I mean?
You're helping.
If you're actually supporting me, you're supporting a massive issue that's more important than just me.
And that's so like relevant to society. Like this happens from like high school, in the workplace. It's still happening. It just reminds me, I mean, it's pretty basic. We get taught this in primary school, like, the bullying triangle. It's like you are the perpetuator, the person being bullied, and then the onlooker. Yeah. For me, the onlooker is actually worse.
Complacency is as bad as the act itself.
Because you're supporting it and you're saying as much as you're not supporting me, you're actually supporting that person that's doing the bad behavior and you're saying it's okay because you're not calling them out on it and you're actually supporting them.
Yeah.
Like it's ridiculous.
And look, let's talk about the production company and all of this. We, we obviously saw it with our own eyes on the show. We've heard your story. He's admitted on Love Island UK that he doesn't care about being mean. Okay, so, I mean, he said it out of his own mouth. when it comes to the production company, look, we've all four of us have been on a reality TV show. We know when we signed up, we're on a TV show.
Yeah.
We know that we put our lives aside, like literally on the line. It's, all game, whatever.
Yep.
But when it comes to, their responsibility, I do think that they need to step up a little bit. Not only, I guess, from what Ella and I experienced on our season, just comes down to when and at what point are the production companies going to hold some accountability for having responsibility? Because I know when all the drama with the OnlyFans thing happened, like there was no responsibility held, that they didn't want to help me at all in any sense. And in your case, Courtney, he's also come out on another podcast and said that he's got full backing of ITV, which has not been corroborated.
It's completely not true, because I also have talked to them and it's just not true. But if that's the only standpoint he has to help his lies, then...
Well, what the other way to justify your lies, the more lies, right?
It's so interesting. He blames it on someone else too.
And that's what these kind of people will do.
Yeah.
Well, see, for me, all this kind of shit that he's doing and people like this do with the media and whatever, all it honestly just screams to me, and I feel like a lot of people, it's just insecurity or like doing whatever they can to bring someone else down because it's going to make themselves feel better.
Yeah.
And that's what these people do. And like when you really take a step back and you look around at all the people in this industry who have done this kind of stuff, like...
Of which there are a lot.
There's a lot.
There is
a lot.
The time.
There is a lot. And, it's kind of, it's sad because he's doing this and people like this do it so that they can feel better, right? And try to bring you down on their level.
Well, it's justification, right? And this is one thing, me and Court have discussed this. And going back to, Dom, what you mentioned before about like the bigger issue and to be honest, we're seeing it in maths at the moment as well. It's the idea of predominantly males, but I won't say all because it is a general issue, but it's trying to defend your actions rather than just recognizing that you've hurt someone else.
Exactly.
Apologizing for it. It's irrelevant, your intention. Intention is actually irrelevant at this point because it doesn't matter what you intended to do.
Yeah.
The outcome is what matters. And if the outcome has hurt someone, then you don't look at someone and say, I'm sorry you feel that way, because that's not what it is. It is, I'm sorry I hurt you.
Yeah.
And that is powerful because that is how it should be.
Yes.
Yeah. What do they say when you make in primary school? Going back to the same thing, you make a mistake, you say sorry.
Yeah.
When you all the way through primary school, all your teachers make you do is just say sorry for something and then move on.
Yeah.
And that is the correct way to do it. But the perpetuation of defending yourself and doing it in different ways and trying to bring, and mind you, I don't want to fully go into that, but that happened a lot after our season, this same thing.
I actually recently got caught in a TikTok spiral, as you do, and a few of our clips came up and, that dinner party, the infamous one, the OnlyFans one.
Yes.
And it was and then the commitment ceremony after that. And we saw a lot of that from multiple people who just defended their actions instead of actually looking introspectively, that's the word.
Welcome.
Looking introspectively at why they hurt my feelings, not only my feelings, but also Jack, because at that time, we were trying to make this thing work. We were, in the experiment. And I personally think that it wasn't just to hurt me. I think it was to hurt you as well.
I've recognised that since.
100% it was.
Yeah.
Definitely was.
And still to this day, people, and this is exactly what's happening with Courtney right now. It's the idea of you are so, whether it's naive or so narcissistic, or I don't want to use the word proud because proud is obviously a positive thing, but it's when you're so overly convinced in your own mentality.
Delusion.
Yeah. That's what I've come to that's what I've made myself feel confident. I just came to the point of wow, I actually think you believe what you're saying.
Yes.
You are so oblivious to the words you speak and the hurt that you put upon people that you actually genuinely think you're not doing anything wrong. Is that not so sad? And it's so weird to me because in his response, he said, no, I said all those things, but I didn't say that to Courtney. Courtney's manipulated this all into thinking it was attacked to her. And I'm like,
oh, that's right.
So you said all these things. So you're admitting you said all these things. You know what you said in your promo, which you don't even think is bad. But you can't think for 1 second that maybe you did say that to me if you remember saying those things.
So who was he meant to have said it to then?
Apparently he just said it in general, or he said it to Jess. But he's like, I never said that to her.
So let's just, with a grain of salt, even if he didn't say it to you, bullshit, okay?
Yeah.
Does he not think that it's wrong to even say that in general about women?
Oh, like, no,
who the fuck are you?
Oh, no, he's allowed to, you know? Like, what?
Hey, Aaron,
that's the way he was speaking too. Like,
just letting you know, doll, you're not God's gift. And I tell you what, if you go around thinking you can talk to women like that, it's not on.
Well, this is an important point.
So snap the fuck out of it.
This is an important point,
That's a Gina Liano fucking quote. And I'm rewatching Housewives, and I tell you what, you wouldn't want to be in a room with Gina Liano.
You should. Dom would watch Housewives habitually and arguably makes up.
No, but he needs to be schooled, because I don't think a bloke like that's never actually had it handed to him.
Oh no, and all his friends are supporting him. Like, what the hell? Like, turn around and say this isn't okay.
They're all licking his ass, and he's obviously loving it.
Yeah,
because he thinks he's.
Jack,
yes.
What's it like for you?
Good question, because I was thinking that too.
What's it like being in your situation in this whole thing?
It's
seeing Courtney deal with it.
It's frustrating and heartbreaking, because the problem is that from a relationship perspective, it's horrible to see someone else hurt.
Yeah.
That gets me. We've discussed this many a time. It's really shit.
Yeah.
The thing that I don't like about this is, and we've discussed me talking up about it and how I would go about that. And the problem is it's quite difficult, because if I was to talk about it in the media and whatnot, to be totally honest, it would get washed to the side, because it's just a guy defending his girlfriend. That's how it would be viewed, rather than the idea of it being someone trying to point out what is right. And a lot of that comes down to the fact that, you know, I wasn't actually there, and that's fine. But aside from all that, I can see the hurt. And that's the important thing. And, you know, and that's actually really painful to see. And maybe one of the points that is really important to make is that when you are hurting other people, that does flow on. Right? It's like that does flow on. And whether that's, no, I haven't been personally attacked by this guy, but I feel hurt for the way that my partner's feeling, you know, like I see her and I see her, whether it be in tears like she was when this first came to light, or, you know, trying to figure out what to do next, feeling powerless and invalidated by the podcast that recently came out.
Yeah.
Those are not feelings that any specifically female in this scenario, but in just generally, no one should ever feel invalidated.
No one should ever feel like that, and powerless. It's a very
powerless.
The power imbalance here of, you know, him being a male, him having been on this big international show, it really just goes to show that the power imbalance, he's using it against you and trying to make his point like come across, but it's just not how it is. And
Have you spoken to him at all, Courtney?
No.
Sorry if you haven't.
No. He's just like the last person. I've talked to him before. So he went on this podcast saying we've never spoken since the show. After he did this first podcast that he's just went on again, where they bagged me, I actually called him after that podcast bawling my eyes out, because I was like, can you please stop talking about me, because you keep talking about me on different social media platforms and you're actually causing me a lot of mental health harm,
stress,
and I'm getting hate because of you. Like, you're literally sending direct hate to me. Like, I'm not doing this to you. I'm not putting this back on you. I would never wish that upon anyone. Yet he was like thriving off it. He knew exactly what he was doing. He's like, I have a voice to be able to say my opinion, and anyone who wants to listen will hear me. And I'm like, do you think of the repercussions of your actions? You clearly don't, because you've already put me through enough, and you're just dragging it on and on and on to then bring it to a year and a half later and to go on a promo and say something. It's like, are you not over it already?
He's so far up his own ass that he can't even see how this is going to affect anyone else, because he doesn't actually care about anyone else but himself.
Literally.
It's the ultimate form of like just so I can't. It actually makes me feel dirty. Like I honestly hate it.
Did he not get matched on this season's Love Island? Is that what happened?
Yeah, so he got dumped because no one wanted him, because he's a mean person, and they saw it. He had two different arguments with two different girls, got called out on it. Girls have come out and talked about it. It was like one of it aired, like him being like, they were like to him, you're a really mean person and you're just angry all the time.
Karma is my boyfriend.
Actually, that's really an interesting little point there, is that when the repeated behaviour, when the only common theme from every single one of these women that have stood up and said something about him, what's the common theme between all of that?
Yeah, that's what I was explaining to Jack, because like two girls that were on the show with me said, I saw this happen, it happened to me too. For then me to obviously say this happened to me, for him to then go in the UK, one girl, and it aired, say the same thing, and then another girl came off and said, well, what happened didn't actually air, but this was what the situation was. It's like 5 different girls now.
So the problem comes down to
us women, clearly.
He's the problem.
He's the problem.
The problem is a
problem
big
is him.
problem.
Yeah.
And it's, it's so sad that, this happens on a TV show. We are real people. We have real feelings. And I think a lot of people forget that as well.
Yeah.
I know I'm constantly told to get over what happened to me. Yeah. I'm still dealing with my traumas. And I know you're on a TV show. You're going to probably be getting that as well from trolls, people who just don't understand emotions. Which is really confronting. And I think it happens in society as a whole. People who, whether it be, and this is just a trigger warning, the I guess conversation about rape and women not standing up because they are afraid of either losing their jobs, losing their livelihoods. I know for me, back when I was 19 and I was sexually harassed working in my transport job, I haven't actually spoken about this, but I was afraid to speak up and say to my boss that this had happened to me.
Yeah.
Obviously, knowing the way I am, I'm not going to not speak up.
Yeah.
I spoke up and I got the police involved and I ultimately lost my job. So as a 19-year-old, I had no job, but also I was then like broken down because I was made to feel as though I was the one that instigated this man wanting to fill me up as a 19-year-old because I wore skirts instead of pants.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show that there is an imbalance, whether it be on a TV show or in the real world. Yeah. And I think it's a very relevant conversation to have. And even though, guys, like everyone listening, not everyone's been on a TV show, but everyone
has experienced this in some way. And the saddest part is that when it comes to issues like this, I've spoken up, which was so hard for me to do. And I've actually been very lucky with like the support I've received from the public. I was just completely shocked by. Yeah. But because of it, I've absolutely just been spiraling with my own mental battle of trying to, I'm doing the right thing. I'm speaking up about the right thing, but why do I feel so shit about this? Yeah. Why is it so hard to speak up about something that's important? Oh, because my friends won't support me. Wow, that's a great realization. Oh, he's going to come out and say I lied. Wow, that's great. Like that feels so great. Like why am I receiving all these repercussions of doing something that's right? Like what the like we live in 2023. How is this how is that a thing? It's not like, come on, like where's the power in this? No. Like why?
We like to think that we're so progressive in today's society, but I actually don't think we are. Women are still just expected to shut up and be pretty and don't talk. I think it's still very
how many
clear.
times have you been told that, Dom? Remember straight after the show. It was I remember it clear as day. And it's a horrible, everyone has their own voice.
Yes.
Is what it comes down to. And it's irrelevant how that voice comes across, how that thing, everyone should have their own voice. Obviously that doesn't take into account what is right and wrong. Obviously what this guy has done is wrong. But Courtney had, very important point to make. A few people did note that Courtney only brought this up when the UK promo came out. But I guess a lot of people don't think that maybe that's the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yes.
Right? This has been going on and on. Now it's simmered. It has hurt Courtney. She's then tried to move on from it. And
you spoke to him and said, please do not include me in anything. Like, please keep my name out of your mouth.
Bawling my eyes out, showing like, I wasn't even trying. I just heard the podcast. I was bawling my eyes out. It wasn't just like a text, hey, Aaron, stop it. I was like, please, you don't understand. Like,
so I think that's a very relevant comment and something to really understand here, guys, is that you've reached out to him after the first time he went on this podcast and you said, please don't speak about me anymore. I want it to be over. But yet this guy thinks, oh, look at me. I'm a big man. I've just got onto Love Island UK. Let's talk about Courtney again.
I think half the reason is because I didn't speak until now. And that's what I beat myself up at because people can turn around and go, oh, well, you didn't speak up about it till now. And I was like, well, in my head, I didn't want to bring up all these emotions because I had to. This is what I've just experienced, and it's been really, really fucking hard to have to deal with this all again.
And also imagine being like Courtney and thinking, oh, my friends that were on the show with me aren't going to support me, so why the fuck am I going to go in this alone? And that is what a lot of women feel out in the real world, is that if they don't have the support from whether that be friends, family or whatever, their workplace, they're not going to come forward. They're just going to suffer in silence because they're like, why the fuck am I going to lose my livelihood, my friends, my mental health? It's going to be detrimental to so many things in my life.
Where's the support? And that's what it comes down to is where is the support? You know,
like as hard as it is for you, Courtney, to have that realization of that your friends aren't necessarily there to support you. Also, in a way, it kind of shows you, okay, well, do you know what I mean? Like, if you're not going to be there for me, then why are we friends? This is when I need you the most.
This is what I said to Courtney when she called me. I said,
thank you for that, Dom. Obviously, the listeners don't know when Courtney was thinking about
if I should post this or not.
She called Dom, and Dom, you did amazing. Thank you.
No,
from my heart. Like, you gave Courtney advice that I could never give because I haven't been as a woman in that scenario. And as much as I could support Courtney, it's different.
Yeah.
It is different, and thank you.
It was honestly my pleasure. And and I've said still to this day, Courtney can call me whenever, and I'm like that with all of my friends, whether that be people I've known for 20 years or, you know, new friends in my life and new people. Because I said to Jack, someone that's important to you is important to me because I know the person that Jack is, and I love him like you're fucking my mate. We're going to be in each other's life forever now. We experience things that no one's ever going to know
and understand.
Exactly. So for me, someone that's important to Jack is always going to be important to me. But I think, you know, the number one thing in the world to have is that support. And you know, you've got a great guy here, Courtney, and I know he'll support you through anything. But
poor thing, he's like, I don't know what to do.
The best guy ever.
He's the best bloke ever.
I know. All the time.
Stop it. Please don't stop. Keep going.
We say it all the time. My parents say it all the time.
My parents say it all the time. My nonna says it all the time.
I'm like, Jack's literally the best person ever.
Exactly.
So, Courtney, you're very lucky.
I am.
But like, look, other than all of this shit, I think it's but it is really important to talk about though, and have, you know, I really get over people saying, speaking my truth, but because it is so overused. I think we need to just really make sure that people are using the right time and the right place to speak their truth. And have a say for things that are actually really important and are going to give other young, you know, men and women who are struggling with this the confidence to do it. And I know since I came off maths, and I know Ella, you get this all the time as well in your DMs, is that, you know, I get people all the time saying, thank you for giving me the confidence and the courage to speak up.
Yeah, no, you gave that to me when I called you. Like, I was like, what do I do? And you just made me remember like my power and my strength, and you inspired me to be like, yeah, this is wrong. And when when something's wrong, you speak about it, because that's the only way this world's going to change, and it's the only way for people to know they're doing something wrong. And I'll do that because clearly no one else wants to. And it's
which is so sad.
It's like, so sad.
People tend to take the easier way out, which is biting your lip, not saying a word, and keeping, you know, staying and doing your thing. People are scared. People have so much fear of what others are going to think of their reaction and their opinions. So, I mean, we saw it in maths. People just like, okay, I'm just going to sit back and not say anything and just let something that is clearly so wrong be seen or done or accepted by others. So
it just blows my mind though, because, you know, going back to that bullying triangle, like I remember those posters everywhere in primary school, and it's just like, why have we forgotten this? I think we focus on a lot of other things into, you know, like everything's on social media these days, but I think we need to come back to the fundamentals of that triangle of, like, you know, it's the bully, it's a person being bullied, and it's that person looking on. And as that person looking on, you have so much power to say something, to say it's not right.
And about being a good person. Do people not thrive to be you know, everyone's all about like, I want to become the best person I can. I'm going to listen to this podcast. I'm going to inspirational
self-love,
all this stuff. But it's like when it actually push comes to shove, no, I don't want anything to do with it.
And, you know, a really interesting thought that I had was, do you think, you know, do people not want to speak up, especially in this industry? And I fucking hate that term, but in this industry, because of cancel culture.
Yeah.
And people being so quick to just be like, nah, no.
People are fearful. They are. There's a lot of fear in this industry of what are the repercussions for what you'll do, right? And
definitely.
And look, at the end of the day, it's true. Cancel culture is completely existent. We've seen it with many different people across the way, and it really does put this fear into people such as, well, some of your ex cast members and things like that. They're fearful of that. They're fearful of the repercussions of what words can do. And because words are powerful, as we've noted.
Yeah, and I know it's valid, but also it's like you've got to weigh up your things here. It's just, I don't know, it baffles me. It really, really does. But I mean, you've got great support around you, and, he's spoken his truth, lies, and now you've had your say, and I think if he can just stay in his lane and you're in yours, you're not doing anything, but this bloke's out here talking all of this shit, and just that's it.
Oh well, looks like he's just strolling around Melbourne by himself at the moment, so I'll
without a full face of makeup this time, so very interesting.
I'll be like, oi Aaron, give me something to say and I'll say something.
Yeah, seriously. just that's enough, you know what I mean? Yeah. I think that's a very powerful thing, but also
that
silence.
Is a very powerful one.
Also silence is also powerful in that situation. It's like just blank him, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but anyway,